Hello and thanks for joining us. This is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network. I'm Flora Duke. Quite a beautiful Wednesday afternoon we have right here, and welcome to the show. Two key issues we shall be looking at on the program today is upholding moral values in the society, whose responsibility it is the parents, the society, leaders, or the religious organization. Now, this is coming from a statement credited to Success SA, aide to the governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, who says high rates of prostitution and moral decadence in the society is due to parental neglect. So, I'll be asking the question of upholding moral values in the society, who should be responsible. That's a big question I'm asking my guests on the show today. On the later part of the show, we'll be looking at a statement credited to the Minister of Interior, Rahul Faregbeshala, that says that one of the major measures to curtail jailbreak is by shooting to death perpetrators. I'm asking the question, is this the way to go? All of these are major discourse for today on the show. I'm going to short break and you get to meet my guest. Stay with us. Conversation begins after this break. Straight to our discourse for today. The spate of crimes and immoral activities in the country is being multiplied with each passing day. These unpleasant incidents are not unconnected with our youth. In recent times, there have been one reported case of social vices or other committed by teenagers, including youth. These categories of the Nigerian population has been constantly specified as leaders of tomorrow. A regular cliche often spring up: an idle mind is the devil workshop. Atrocities, social vices, immoralities, abuses and rights violation has been a recurring scenario in our society today. Stakeholders has recently lamented over high rates of prostitution, ritual killings, kidnapping and internet frauds, among others, and asked mostly committed by youth and teenagers in the society. What could be the reason for the loss of moral values in our society? In the news recently, Special Aide to Governor of Delta State, Osahi Success, blamed parents for prostitution and ritual killings going on in the society. He claims the failure in parental upbringing has led to youth to incessant immoralities and to the failure and not the failure of government to provide jobs for youth, as would be argued by many people. Osahi wrote, quote, "Our parents are the reason why our young girls and boys are into prostitution and rituals. Let me say the truth here. If there is anyone to blame for killing of young girls and boys in the society, it is our parents. Over the years, our parents failed to bring up our young girls and boys in the fear of the Lord. Today, you see increase in prostitution and rituals killing. The question is, drawing from Osai point of view, one main question we may want to ask is, firstly, what is the veracity of this claim? What are the indices he using postulating this claim? Again, where is the place of community parenting in our society today? Are parents alone to be blamed? And again, one may want to ask, what do people actually think concerning that statements? If he tried to exonerate the government from this perspective, we may want to also ask, what is the role of government in upholding moral values, integrity in our society today? I have with me in the studio Barrister Mildred Asim. She is the woman and girl rights advocate. Thanks for joining us on the show, Barrister Mildred. Also with me in the studio is Pastor Basi Price, is a clergy. Thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thank you.
All right, straight to the discourse. That's a statement, one person's opinion. Let's get your opinion, Pastor. There is need for us to uphold moral values. There's need for us to talk about the place of integrity in our society today. But the key question is, do we still have all of these in our society? And if it is found missing, whose responsibility it is to uphold it and bring it back to the society?
Okay, thank you for that question. I want to start by the game. I call it a game because it's an emphasis that's being played around by all sectors of the society. We have the government, we have the family, we have the church and the school and all the people, even including the peer age group. All these are agents of socialization. Now, these agents of socialization, the one person should not be blamed. It should not only just be the family that should be blamed. But if you look at it from the onset, a lot of people, run from the game. They run from the shift blame, especially parents. Now, the parents are the first people who are supposed to take the first slot. They are to be blamed in one side. Then the society too, which has to do with the family and the church and the school and everybody. When you talk about community parenting, everybody's involved. It's not only the parent. It's not really one person. For example, a child has to come out from the house and he goes on the way to the street and he meets people. Somehow he has to meet people. And when he meets people, who are the people he's meeting? What influence do they have on the child? For instance, you see, when the child leaves the house and goes to school, he meets a person in the school. The teacher may be a very good person. The child learns value. When he meets a very bad teacher, he learns a bad value. And on, it goes into governance. This same person who has not understood moral values goes into the government, and what do you expect this person to do? This person lacks a moral understanding. He lacks the virtues of the family values to put to governance. And what do you expect from him? He will be a very bad leader. So if you ask me, the parents are not only to be blamed. Everybody in the society has to take a shot at it. A lot of times you observe that people, when they are growing up, they meet a lot of people on their way growing up. So the thing I ask, who are the actors of this? Everybody's involved. For example, the government, they are not able to provide jobs. So what do you expect the people to do? Every year we have a large turnover of graduates. They are in the streets. The prostitution level is growing. The fraudulent activities of the youth is on the increase. So it's not only parents. Sometimes you see a very good child come out from the family, and meeting people in the society, things are turning the other way around. For example, somebody is expected to pay bribe in the secondary school to pass papers. What I hear these days, they are paying 1,000 per papers. 1,000 must be given for a child to take an examination. They call it examination fee, 1,000 per paper. And every parent watching, every parent hearing right now knows this truth.
Is that failure of parents as well?
Well, you can see it's not even the parent. It's the society, it's the school system, it's the government. And the governments are aware of this. It's just like the policemen on the street, they are collecting token, and everybody drives on that street. Motorists, you want to tell me that there's no government officials on that street, there's no leaders, everybody is seeing it, but everybody is turning the eye. So who will call the shots? Who will actually arrest the situation? So everybody is just looking at it, and everybody has failed. So it's not only parents in this. It's not only parents.
Barrister Midford, success has said its own that it is not failure of government. But I think I like the scenario he just painted. Students being asked to pay 1,000 naira for, they call it examination fee. Then the issue of fraud comes into play there. The issue of loss in value. The education sector hope to be the citadel of discipline, learning, where values and moral is being passed. But if there is a default in that area, what kind of students are we churning at? And do we not put this blame on parenting?
The blame will be on parenting. Because why did I say that?
Okay.
Charity begins at home. As a child, when a child is born into this world, you go through the family. The family, they are the first people you meet. Your mother, your father, your aunties, the family in general. Those are the first points of contact. And then the child grows to probably go to church, go to school, The circle goes around. The society, how does society come in? The family is the smallest unit of the society. It is from the family that the society grows. It grows from the family to the community and then the society at large. So, yes, largely on parenting, but then our social values, our cultural values is so sad, because the truth is they have been greatly eroded. And where our values have been eroded, where you see, especially people will call role models, so to speak, flaunting wealth, flaunting riches, and they give you the impression, they give the young and upcoming ones the impression that by whatever means, make it.
Is that parenting as well?
That is not the right one. It is very wrong. And that is what has made us to get to the level where we are. Misplaced values. That is a major issue we are having today. Where a mother would say to a child, a daughter of hers, oh, are you not seeing your mates? They are wearing good clothes. They are doing this for their parents. They are doing this for their mothers. They are doing this for the family. What have you been able to do? Probably a child who is quite disciplined and who at least still have these moral values and does not want to go out. This is an example. To prostitute, probably her peer group influence, her friends are doing it, and she says, no, I refuse to join the bandwagon. I want to be different. But then, if she has a mother who is not so, who does not have such a good value, so to speak, what happens? The child, due to pressure from family, probably the child is also from a background that is not so well to do, probably a poor background. The child is influenced by what she sees society throw at her. The situation, the circumstance around makes the child to begin to change from what he or she knows that this is wrong and this is, there must be that line, one should be able to draw the line between good and bad. And if the child says, oh, this picture you are painting, I don't think is the best for the society, and then the mother comes out and says, you must do it, this is what your mates are doing, what happens? The child does not have a choice but to dance to the music that the mother is playing. For example, let's say during a Christmas period, let's say for those villages, for example, anywhere you go to, you see people carrying big cars. You want to know. Some of them, you ask them, some of them are into drugs. The role model factor comes in now. Let's leave the immediate family. The role model factor comes in. Some of them are into drugs. They are traffickers, human traffickers, drug traffickers. Some of them are into kidnapping. Some of them are into ritual killings. A whole lot of vices in our society. But the problem is, we now in our society, we seem to fold our hands and clap for those that have made it, even by all means, even when we know that they didn't make it through very good.
Now, I think I like the background you painted. You said parents as well. Let's paint a scenario. Take, for instance, let's break into what we're seeing in our present world. A 64-year-old want to be youth leader in a community, and fund given to the 64-year-old to pilot affairs of youth, to get youth involved in maybe skill acquisition, get youth to be usefully involved to create change in the society. What do you expect a 64-year-old to do or to operate on as a youth leader? And to start with, the question is that position ought to be for youth? Connect it to how this will affect the youth of that particular local government or that particular community. Does this also trickles down to poor parenting as well?
No, I do not think that it comes down to poor parenting. First of all, we talk about leadership. Leadership, what do you have to offer? What is your competence? What is your capacity? What are the values you are putting out there for the youth to emulate? Those should be not the age per se. Yes, not the age, but what do you have? Do you have the capability?
But let's also look at the age. That position would have been well occupied with someone who is 35, someone who is 40, or even 25 who just left school, who is vibrant. But when such a position is being occupied by a 64, what do you expect? Has somebody not been left redundant? Has somebody with sharp brain not been left to be idle? Would this not also push the person into vices? I'm just taking you back to what you said, that parenting is actually the core root of all of these. Well, let's look at it from this prism.
Okay. Parenting coming in here as a 64-year-old, it depends on what he throws out there, what he teaches them. Yes, parenting in that kind of scenario, what is the man offering this youth? What kind of values have been imbibed in this youth? This youth, they have to be prepared, they have to be taught first They have to know what they are going in there to do. They have to know by way of learning. If they do not know what to do, they will go in there and mess it up. So the first thing they should do is to learn. Are they capable? As I said earlier on,
At 64. Pastor.
sorry?
At 64.
No, I'm talking about the youth.
Okay.
I've left the 64-year-old
Okay.
now. The youth, they have to be prepared. The 64-year-old can only be there probably to mentor
So
and then to supervise.
I'm looking at a scenario where someone has just been deprived of an opportunity to create a change and need a change in the society. Someone has just been deprived of an opportunity to showcase talent, skills, to put all of the knowledge garnered in school into work. The person has just been deprived. But where do you expect the person to channel such energy? Now, if you look at youth, when to say youth restiveness or youth unrest, these are energy that also have been channeled into positive use. That opportunity were not created for such energy to be channeled or to be properly used. You see them going into vices. So I just had to paint that scenario so we could look at it from that particular prism. Pastor, please, maybe you have to come in here.
Okay. If we can just look at what Flora is saying, you will agree with me that there is what we call the youthful years. Youthful years. The useful years is the youthful time, youthful years. When you deny youth that time of creativity, innovation, you are just denying the child or that youth everything. And in the scenario we have in the country and most places, you see the older ones, like you say, 60. I believe the age of civil public service has to end at 65. So what is somebody after 64, 65 looking for in leadership? I believe the youth should be given the opportunity to put in their best. The youth, the lecturer age in the Western world is 17 years. Some places right there in the country should be 18. Now, a youth should be prepared from a very young age to start ruling, to start leadership. So when they are denied, honestly, it brings about youth restiveness, number one. Number two, they are not brought into the system. I told somebody sometime in the village, I was asked to be a speaker, and I addressed the chiefs, I addressed the elders, I addressed the kings, and I said, if we don't have a civic center, rehabilitation center, the youth we call bad guys, they are the product of the society that made them bad. Now, because what I'm talking about, society at large, is beyond the parental level, because the child have minimum 6 years to spend at home. The rest of the years is in contact with the society till at whatever age, whatever point metamorphosis, it begins to go to the other. Now, most of the years of the child is outside. Now, the people they meet outside forms most of the, what we call the opinion times or issues that makes the child takes opinion, takes stand, or whatever he wants to do. So they are not happy when they see they are being denied that opportunity. So I will say, let the older people sit back, be on the advisory board. Let the youth take the stage. Let the young men take the stage. Like in Nigeria, in the political sector, I'm not talking about politics, but you will agree with me that the political gurus, there's no youth. They're not allowing the youth anything to do. They don't want them. You see people of 50-something, 60-something, 70-something taking over the stage. So it makes the youth angry. So I told them, if you don't rehabilitate this youth who are in drugs, you don't give them opportunity to bring them back, you don't even create the platform for them to start leadership at a very young age. Who are the robbers that come to your house in the night? Who comes to kidnap you? Who comes to do a lot of this? It's the youth. So when, for example, if somebody is going to work, he has almost, let's say, 8 hours in the system here. Unlike other Western world, we have hourly work. You have 8 hours at least to give, or 6 hours. Now, where does the youth have time? Moving in the morning and coming back night. He has work to do the next day, so he will not have the time to be engaged in anything. He has work to do tomorrow. You and I will agree that you are a very busy person. And imagine all the time you have to do on your schedule. You go and prepare other things, and then the next day you have other jobs waiting for you. So how will you have time to go on the street? Where will you have time to go on prostitution? You don't have that kind of time. But imagine the people you followed out of school. They're out of school. They don't have a job like you are. What do you want the girl to do? Where's the moral value? Okay, it's already decayed because the parents are not helping, the society is not helping. She's being forced to do prostitution. So, what if you ask me my advice? I know maybe the stage has not come for advice.
We'll get to advice.
Okay.
Let's look at where the society needs to come in all of these, and or societal failure in upholding moral values. You are about touching this aspect. That has to do with the aspect of priority. I may want to ask, what do we prioritize in our present day society? Barrister Mildred, do we prioritize knowledge? Do we prioritize intelligence? Do we prioritize skill or beauty? Sex. Where should our present society places our priority?
Yes, as I said earlier, what has brought us to this juncture where we are, that the vices seem to be on the very, very high side right now, is because of misplaced priorities. When we don't put our priorities right, and our value systems are eroded. You mentioned whether beauty should be encouraged, and leadership and all that. Of course, when it comes to our educational sector, just as Pastor said earlier on, it has fallen to the lowest ebb. What do? We must, you say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. We must begin from somewhere. Socialization, as agents of socialization, we are agents of change. And change is possible. That is one thing that is constant. So I believe it's doable, it's achievable, as long as we set our mind to it, to reorientate our people, to reorientate the youth, to change our value systems by not clapping for those who are supposed to be in jail, rotting for one crime.
Pastor Mildred, if we must change our value system, we must place our priority right. That still takes me to the question I initially asked. What is that priority? If we don't get a priority right, we can't talk about changing value system. So what should we prioritize as a society? Some will say it's a global village, the world is evolving, we need to embrace what is currently happening. You see a child, look at an elder. You talked about something before we came on air. You said you were trained to look out for the woman. You see something happening to a woman you want to help. That's the more reason you actually wanted to do that thing you did. This has to do with the value you've been instilled with from the cradle. The thing is, looking at all of these, what do we prioritize? What is our major priority? Both in leadership, in governance, in education. Okay, let's even look at the educational system. We've seen news find a way to the papers where we'll see a professor or a lecturer is asking for sex for marks. We can't forget in a hurry Professor Richard Akindele of one of the university OAU. So we can't forget. And another one that also suffered. The thing is, if that could happen in the citadel of learning, how would the society be? That's why I'm being emphatic when I mentioned our societal priority. Pastor, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Flora. I think at this juncture, I will not fail to say the value must really be emphasized, both at home, both in the school, both in the church, because I have not really mentioned something about the church, but I think I have to say something about that too. So I want us to look at it this way. What do we have as priority? We look at the past, and we look at the present, and we look at the future. Like I was telling you, while I was growing up, because looking at upholding the moral values in the society. My dad, I didn't do my homework, and the school teacher, village teacher, walked into my father's compound. My father is a respectable man in the society, and I just sat back and was just doing what I was doing. He called me, and I came to him, and he said, "Have you done your homework?" I said, "No." He said, "What do you mean you have not done your homework and you're playing?" He picked up a cane and flogged me in the presence of my father. I cried. My dad never looked my way. And he sat down, they gave him a treat, and he went home. I felt bad. I said, oh, if my dad could look at the village teacher coming in to beat me up, to flog me, discipline me, then I need to sit up. From there, I never needed anybody to remind me to do my homework at home. Number two, when we come back from school, my dad will open our bags. Who owns that sharpener, that eraser? It doesn't belong to you. You take it back. I said, no, tomorrow. He said, no, go back to the school. Go back and draw. I said, no, but they have left the school. He said, that eraser, that pencil will not sleep in my house. Go and take it back. And imagine the mileage going back to the school to drop that particular something. That made me never to come back home with what does not belong to me. Then the other aspect, we were, you see guys, boys raping girls, boys doing a lot of ritual, cutting girls past and all these things. It's so painful. We were brought up not to. You are not supposed to beat a female. You are supposed to open car door for her. You're supposed to help her with things. Like I was telling you, yeah, some people, you are just driving as a male. I'm not saying you should not help the other male counterpart, but female gender. You have to stop the car. Oh, sorry, what happened? You change the tire is flat. You have to help her change the tire. You have to help the woman crossing the road with her baby. You have to see a pregnant woman stopping by. You understand me? You help and take them to the hospital. You see the elderly carrying luggage. You help. But it's not happening in our society today. We are brought up, you have to greet your neighbors. You have to say hi. But these days, people you're living, nobody cares, nobody wants to know anything. The other day, they were robbing a neighbor close by. Nobody came out. But I said, if nobody should come out, somebody should hit the alarm system, somebody should dial 911, somebody should do something. These days, when things are happening, people just carry their phone and be snapping and videoing, and that's just all. But it's not supposed to be so. Now, going back to the opinion, what should be our
priorities?
Priority.
So we could correct it.
Yes, our priority should be, our focus should be impeccable integrity. We should have integrity in our home. The father should not tell the child, tell the landlord, I'm not around. Tell Mr. Michael, I'm not around. But he's around. The child now sees the father, oh, he's successful, and the father is a liar. So the child picks up that value, that particular part of lying. Just like in the Bible, Abraham told a lie, and Isaac also told a lie. So it runs in the gene, and it runs in the system. What the child considers as value is what the parent does. Value can be negative, value can be positive. So whatever the value, because value enhances virtue. So when you see a child, when a father is doing something that is wrong, the child also picks it up.
So what about the society? That's on the path of the family. What about the society?
Okay,
what should be the reward system like?
The society, we should go on merit. If you don't merit it, you should not be given that position. And nobody, I repeat, even though we have talked this thing on several times on platforms, as I'm talking to you right now, go right there on the street. The policemen still pick the 20 naira, 15 naira. The other day, a policeman had to shoot somebody to death because of that. So, and if you go right now, the governor should be watching, the president is watching, everybody is watching. Thank God the society watch. But people still turn a blind eye. They still give that money. They still give that money. They still carry head. I used to wonder how can they kidnap 200 pupils or students, they kidnap 100 and carry them past which checkpoint did they pass through? They drove and passed through, and the police were there. People are there. All the system is corrupt. Everybody's corrupt. The pastors, most of them are corrupt. The leaders, corrupt. The system, corrupt. The family, corrupt. We are to be blamed. So if we must go back to do it right. What I mean is this. The lecturer should not victimize the student. If he does that, he should be reported. Nobody should force anybody to do evil. We should come to prioritize value system, to have good things, to be given merit, reward system for doing good.
Okay, thank you so much. I have to wrap up. Okay, just 30 seconds, please. The time of this conversation is up.
Truth should be upheld, and the work of these values, for these values to be reinstated and for us to have a rebranding and a reorientation, this job belongs to everybody. It is everybody's responsibility. The tenets of truth, and then less of money, putting money out there, because yes, it's said that money is the brain behind most of the evil. Actually, Think about it. That is the truth. Why are they going into these vices? Apart from rebellion, for probably not giving them a chance at leadership, not giving them a chance at showcasing what they have got, the potentials they have. What is really the drive? Why are they fighting? Why are all these vices like drugs, exam malpractice and all that, why are they coming up? What is at the forefront? It is money. It is money, money, money. So it should start from the top. It should also start from our homes. We should not prioritize money, and we should not clap for those who are money mongers, peddling wealth and flaunting opulence, when we all know that they didn't get them through the right channels and the right sources.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister Midred Asim and Pastor Price. Thank you so much for this particular conversation. We'll take a short break, and of course we'll have Ruben Izu join us for the next conversation. Show to death and a daybreaker, says Minister of Interior Aregbe Shola. The thing is, will this reduce prison break in our society? That's a question I'm asking my guests. Just stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Since 2010, Nigeria has continued to experience the incidence of jailbreaks. From 2010 to 2021, Nigeria has witnessed more than 38 prison breaks with over 8,000 escapees. The reason for this remains unclear, but security experts have put it to lack of security, poor funding of the prison, and lack of modern facilities such as CCTV. States like Abuja, Edo, Ekiti, Lagos, Ondo, Imo, Kaduna, and more have in the past recorded prison breaks. Effort by government to nip this in the bud has been met with resistance. What's the way to go? In the news, Minister of Interior Rahuf Aregbe Shola Monday ordered the prison officers to shoot dead anybody who attempts to attack any correctional center in the country. The minister gave the order while inspecting the facility at the Agodi Custodial Center in Ibadan. He said the officer must make it impossible for anyone to penetrate the facility because it is a red zone. Aregbe said any attack on any correctional center is an attack on the state, and such must never be allowed again. The minister said any attempt to attack correctional center should be a suicide attempt, and perpetrators must not be allowed to live to tell the story. He said the most important thing is the security impregnability of this facility. make this facility impregnable. It is a red zone, a dangerous zone. Whoever attempts to breach the security here is already dead. He must not live to tell the story. Other people will tell his or her life a story. Any effort to breach our facility is not acceptable. He reiterated, don't shoot to injure, shoot to kill. Don't shoot to disable, shoot to kill. That's the statement to the man on your screen. That's the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola. He made that statement. Shoot to kill, don't shoot to disable, don't shoot to injure, shoot to kill. Now the question is, will these actually reduce jailbreak in the society? This is 2022. We hope we don't get to see the front page of the dailies covered with jailbreak and all. You know how the scenario was in 2020. But back to the studio, I have Ruben Izu Jr. with me, a social analyst, to look at this. And of course, I still have the clergy with me, Pastor Bassett Price, to look at this particular issue. Thanks for joining the show, Izu.
Thank you very much.
All right, let me start with you. Over time, Nigeria's witnessed a series of jailbreak, and of course, it's not been good sight. From 2010 to 2021, about 8,000 detainees and inmates have actually left their cell to find their way back into the society. The thing is, the Minister of Interior had to come up with this plan to cut inserts and jailbreak. He said shoot to death. But what's your perspective on this? Would these actually deter intending perpetrators?
I think, first of all, in as much as we may condemn the act of attacking federal government correctional facilities, it is out of place, to be frank, for a public figure like the Interior Minister to come out in public. We believe that there are modus operandi, and you must not come out to make such a statement in public. It is that's falling short of the standard when you talk about standard of public office holders. I agree that most especially the NSAS protest opened our eyes to how our facilities are vulnerable. But the fact still remains that the government has a lot to do, and I was expecting that if, having taken statistics of jail correctional centers that have been attacked across the Federation, and in most cases, federal government security agencies killed, you know, NSAS was not just, they didn't come by with just civilians being casualties. I know that the security agencies were also casualties. But I am expecting a robust relationship in the sense that the Interior Minister engages with the commanders and whatever leaders of such correctional centers like the, I think, the prison wardens and all the rest. What I expect to do, same thing he wishes should be done when an attempt to attack correctional centers, as he has proposed, can still be dished out without the public knowing. Now, what you have only just done is just letting the cat out of the bag, because those who have, if I should say, most times this is what we have in mind that might inform some of the attacks, that they have some of their kingpins that have been in detention for so a long time. So if you have given, even before now, they don't go empty-handed, they go sophisticated. So now that you have now given a public notice in the way you have done now, you have only given them a tips that they should come prepared. But the truth about it is, that tells you that we are not running an administration. This government has issued out statements time without numbers from different forums, and it makes it look like a regime. We are not in a military regime. Such statement is unwarranted, to be frank. I saw that thing making around the news, and I was asking myself, what is the president doing? How can, because the truth about it is a son who goes out in public and makes an unguarded utterances, sometimes it smears the image of the father. I'm expecting that the minister will be corrected immediately. That statement should be retracted. We are in a civilian dispensation. Such statement is credited to the dictator era of the military. So honestly speaking, I agree that it's very sad the extent at which correctional center you can see in the southeast. You saw how they, as they call it, the unknown gunmen, sometimes they say it's the ESN, attacking correctional centers, freeing prison inmates. Sometimes, I think the Imo State government was alleging that the attack on his home were somehow castrated by some persons who were freed within that period, and some other pocket crimes that were committed in Cross River. And so, we knew that sometimes when these guys are not really going through the process of the correctional center and they are being forcefully ejected into the public, they might not have gotten a change of mind, and it might become another problem to the society.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Pastor, let's look at what's recently happened in Oyo State. The PRO, Nigerian Correctional Center, Oyo State, Olariwaju Ajori, he said the Oyo, which happened to be the recent 2021, the Oyo, rather, Custodial Center was established in 2007 with a capacity of 160 inmates. Now, when that correctional center was intercepted by hoodlums, about 50 gunmen got into the correctional center, and they freed 907 inmates, 907, for a center that was supposed to house 160. From what Izu said, should the minister be saying shoot to dead, or should be looking at prison reforms?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I want to say, based from what the social activities analysts have said, it's very important for us to understand the reason for the correctional center. Is it called correctional centers? Or a prison is a place where we take people to keep them, to serve a prison term, or to reform them. Of course, basically to reform them. In the Western world, they don't kill their prisoners. They don't kill their prisoners because the prisoners who have committed a crime are being used as, proteges to go all out and find out what are the causes of the things that made them do what they do, and then correct them. At least, I'm not saying that basically out of the 100, they are having 100%, but mostly they don't. That's why you see the system, their system is different. They value the human beings. They value people. They don't shoot anyhow. They don't arrest anyhow. They don't treat people anyhow. So if you said the prison, they should look into that. What causes the prison break in the first place? Like he said, some of their people are outside. And for them to come, they are coming prepared. So when you make such statements, they are not also going to sleep. They're also going to also come more prepared, because the way we handle the youth or the prisoners have not made them to change. That's what we should be looking at. Because if it's just like a child, you flog a child very well, flog the child very well, flog the child, the child still goes back to commit the same thing. You have not succeeded. So what we do, how do we get them reformed? How do we, look at that? The utterance he already said is a very bad one. So you should retract those statements. But we should be looking at the prison and the reform system. So how do we look at the reform system? It's beyond feeding them with beans and gari and bread. It's beyond squandering the money allocated, budgeted to them. Because most times these guys are not reformed. They are not taken care of in the first place. And you can see some people have special people who goes there to help them do whatever they do. They are not even feeling anything. So the reform system should start with their mindset. Their mind should go on a renewal. Their mind should go on back to what makes up the man, the total man. I believe if, for example, I don't think anything can make me go to prison by God's special grace. Nothing. So also many people who have their mind intact. Because what should make you fight? So there was a time I bought the car. I was just happy with that car. And one keke man just came, boah. What? And the way he talked and everything, I kept my cool. And thank God my wife was by my side. We handled it and I went to. But I have also been on the road. I have seen how a man, well built, I believe he should be learned, I don't know, but well responsible citizen, fought a commuter, removed his dress, they were fighting. And this guy and his conductor dealt with this well respectable man, tore his dress. The man held, they say, we are going to police station, and they were just there. Passerby were coming. We were just passing, and so I say, oh, look at this man, how they messed him up, beat him. What happened? A dent on his car. If you ask me, I will not stop. Your life is at stake. So what takes them to prison is what we should find out.
Okay.
Joblessness, crime, and all those things. That's what we should be looking at. Beyond the statement of the Minister of Interior, we should look at prison reforms. How do we look at the prison? Because they are human beings.
Okay, let's take the question back to you. If we say a correctional facility that was supposed to house 160 and we have 907 in that place, and again, when the unknown gunmen, in your words, when they invaded the prison, the people that were let go were about, these are people awaiting trial, but 92% of these people that were let loose are awaiting trial. The invariably put as we're already convicted. The question is, those who attack prison have a premeditated motive. The minister has just said that anybody found perpetrating jailbreak or nursing premeditating jailbreak should be shot to death. Just a few days ago, the Ondo State Governor has said, made a statement that all of the army guarding the correctional center in Ondo State has been withdrawn without his notice. He just got a report from the Commissioner of Police there that all of the army has been withdrawn. Is this not an avenue for a premeditated jailbreak? And again, like you said, if we must actually address jailbreak, why are we not talking about decongesting the system?
First, yeah, like he said, and your question goes, you know, sometimes the general perception is this: you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
It's as a result of what you have that you can part way with. Now, for the federal government, like he said, the World Correctional Center has a lot in it. There are persons who must have committed various crimes. There are some, they are victims of circumstances. But for the cause of the law to take possession, for the law to take course, they have found themselves there. And in most cases, you have to prove yourself not guilty of whatever you're being accused that took you there. And you know, we have a very slow judicial system. Very slow judicial system, an expensive one in that matter. A lot who are there are innocent, but they don't have what it takes to go through the judicial processes. So sometimes they are just been there. Let me give a very quick one. During the pandemic, the governor issued a statewide broadcast, and it was a kind of the misinformation, and it was supposed to be the Ada George axis of the Equerry Road, but the police, in their own hyperactive nature, started arresting from the Ajib by Ada George. Now, some persons were arrested innocently, and when activists protested, called for their unconditional release, the police refused. Now that is one reason some of them were arrested. They were there charged to court and all the rest. So if they were convicted, what took them there? But for that moment, you are in the confine of the prison, you are all the same. Not until proven guilty or not. So that moment they are there, don't forget, some of them has, you see, when you have somebody in prison, that's when you know that our systems are very faulty. I've had a case of someone who committed a very heinous crime. During the daytime, he is in the prison, but at night, he's in a 5-star hotel. Some persons are living large in the prison in expense of others because of who they are or how they have their personal finance to get across. If I tell you what is happening there, so sometimes some of them even have phones, because for a prison break to be orchestrated to an extent, you must have the information.
Yes,
so how do they get such privileged information? We have so many rooms, as in prison rooms, inside the correctional centers. How do they know where their kingpins are being kept?
It's our time is up. Maybe we'll have this conversation, answer this question some other time. But gentlemen, thank you so much. Izu Ruben Jr., thank you for your time on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Pastor Price, thank you for your inputs on the show today. And many thanks for watching. We'll keep our eyes on the news and to know what's happening on the news. Of course, we're interested to hear from you. Go chat up, like us, share our content on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. Let us know what's happening from your end. Want to see videos videos, you want to see pictures, just go to Instagram, Atlantic TV Network, and drop the pictures there. Let's know what's up with your end. Maybe new story we could talk about on the show. Remember, we'll have our eyes and issues into society. That's why it's called Society Watch. Many thanks for watching today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing, to do this again. I am Flora Chuk. Bye for now.